Alrighty then. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is June 14th. It is day 4. Yeah, day 4 of Volleyball Nations League of VNL. What did I put in the title? Oh, I just put week 1. Okay, that's fine. Today is day 4 of VNL Quebec. It is day, I don't even know what, of VNL at this point. We're going to here to talk about 2 matches, Canada versus France, a record-breaking crowd, and then after that, Bulgaria against Germany. We have been the 5-set merchants here in Quebec City. It seems like every single match has gone to 5 sets. Both matches today went to 5 sets. Luckily, it's only 20 after 11, quarter after 11, so that is good, because in other times, I've been starting this episode, this show at like midnight. Excuse me. So, yeah, this... We're gonna break it down today. Today was so fun. But I think first, before we get into the actual game, I do want to talk about my experience today because it was really special. I've been lucky enough to been a part of a number of big crowds in Canadian volleyball history. 2012 in Toronto, 2020 in Vancouver, of course last year in Ottawa against the US. But today was really special. Today was really, really cool. I decided to get here a little bit early. I grabbed a couple of pops, if you would. And I sat outside, enjoyed the nice weather, and just enjoyed all the people coming in. There was a really, really good energy about. We've seen how good the Quebec crowds have been over the past few days. I said that, they were a little polite on Wednesday, and since then they've just gotten better and better and better. And it was really, really loud in there today. Once again, no free ads, but my Loop earplugs, they have 3 different settings, and most days I keep them on the most open. But today I was actually popping them down because it was so loud, especially on the floor. It was crazy. I know that the first time Kofi went up and he got a big block and there was a monster block, and just seeing the crowd of people was really awesome, was really cool. I really enjoyed it. It was a bit of a jump scare, honestly, to sit behind the court and to look through the net and there to just be a crowd of people, a wall of people. 12,500 today in Quebec City, sets a new VNL record for North America. I really loved talking to, there was a certain American referee or referee delegate who was telling me, he's like, oh, you got to come to Chicago. We get 20,000. And in my head, I was like, there's not, you've never gotten 20,000 in Chicago. Never. So, yeah, it was loud. It was awesome. And you know what? I'm going to call out a little bit, just in a loving way, our good friend, Bianca. She, of course, is if you don't know, she's the MC extraordinaire. She does so much behind the curtain for Volleyball World. She's truly someone I respect so much. But today, as I was coming in, she was just, she was telling me, she's like, we're really worried that it's just going to be mostly a French crowd, and that, I think we're going to be really lucky if it was 50-50. It wasn't even fucking close to 50-50. It wasn't even fucking close. That was a Canadian crowd. That was Canada through and through. We didn't hear one Allez les Bleus. We didn't hear, like, when Bianca was going, you cheer for whatever team. It was go Canada go the entire time. It was a respectful crowd. It was a great crowd. But that was a Canadian crowd. And it was just so awesome to see. It was so awesome to see how passionate the fans were. And you know what? On top of that, they got a really, really... They got a really, really good game out of it. I'm sorry, you got a 5-setter. That was awesome. Canada almost pulled off the reverse sweep. Now, jumping into kind of like the experience of it all, and Map, exactly, that's what it was. Like, I was just taking it all in. It was an experience to have, and in those big matches, there's been times when I've been like too focused on like the work, and I think for me, it's just important to take it all in. And it was awesome. And I'm going to say this now, that like I do think that Quebec City has the best volleyball fans in the country. There's no doubt about it. This is my 5th time doing an event here in Quebec City, and every single time. World League 2013 was a little iffy, but that was a very different situation when we're talking about World League and how we promote this game. But Quebec Open 2011 is still one of my most influential events. World League 2013, U Sports Nationals here in 2019 were incredible. The Norseca in 2023, and now this. Truly, Quebec City has the best crowds. But moving on from talking about what was happening inside and around the stadium to talking about what was happening on the court, it was a really entertaining match for 3 sets. Or sorry, for 4 sets. I loved it. through to France. I wouldn't, dominate is not the right word, but they definitely controlled the pace of play to a certain extent. We were getting our shots. We were getting in there. Started with the same roster that we saw on Wednesday night against Germany, with her setting and Slater on the right side and Kofi down the middle. And eventually they went back to, there was a few subs that we saw this match. They eventually brought back in Elgert and Xander and actually kept them there. And Xander looked really good. Xander looked really, really good. I'm really impressed with the way he's playing right now. And then they also, Dan Lewis also brought in Skylar Varga for his first appearance. And, it's interesting. I thought that, Heslinga has been on the actual roster for the past, 2 matches and hasn't seen the court at all. Finally, they get Skylar Varga onto the roster. And he goes in and plays, and now he's a little bit tentative at first. He was a little bit tentative. I was wondering if the stage was going to be a little bit too big for him, but by the end, he was absolutely balling. Varga today, 12 points, 12 for 33, 36% hitting, 21% efficiency, no blocks or no aces, but still, I think a really, really good debut for Varga. And overall, if you look at this offense, man, 5 different players in double digits, led by Brody and Xander with 15 apiece. Sclater had 14 as well. Danon had a 10, and as I said, Varga had 12. Danon, I think Schnitz played really well the other night, and I think Danon played fantastic tonight. He was 7 for 8 in attacking, 1 block with 3 touches, and I'm pretty sure all of those happened in one rally in the first set where he was all over the place, and he also had 2 aces. Really just affecting the score sheet on every single step, and just bringing a lot of good things in. We saw Jackson Young start. Didn't have, I've been really impressed with him, but with him so far. He's been one of my most impressive guys, but today just didn't have it. 0 for 6 and attacking. Did have 1 ace, but then they brought in Varga, and I thought he looked really, really good. I thought Varga did fantastic for coming in. I will say though that I thought that I thought we had 4 really, really good sets, and then the 5th. It is a tough one. I mean, they aced Varga on a really good shot right to the sideline. I was right behind it to start the set. I think we sided it out after that, and then Klevno went behind, and Klevno was just floating all match. And then he started throwing up the hybrid and really ripping up on us, and it killed us. And it was the first time really that I saw our serve receive really affect us. And it was the first time that I've saw, because I think one of the things that Canada has done really, really well is identifying the times that our serve receive is letting us down and making up for it in other areas, whether it's our, support on out of system balls when someone's hitting on a 3-man block and the guys are there to cover, whether it's our block defense. We found other ways to bring that up. And in the 5th, it was just one of those moments where we couldn't. And I agree with Brody. If you're going to go back and watch my interview with the interview with Brody, that he talks about just leaving a lot of points on the table, and I absolutely agree that we did too. There was definitely moments, especially in the second set, that I thought we could take it. Even in the first 2, we were in both of those sets. The 5th was definitely the worst set of volleyball that we've played so far, that Canada has played so far in this VNL. And we've played 3, we've gone to 5 in all 3 of our matches. It was a very good 5th set against Germany. Not so great against Argentina, and then even worse against today against France. I was pretty disappointed with just the pushback that we didn't have, which was there all throughout the game and has kind of been our identity, even going back to the exhibition game against Italy. Whenever a team has gotten away from us, we've done a really good job at stifling that as much as we can and then going on a run of our own and closing back up that gap. And we just didn't see that in the 5th set. And that's exactly where we saw their experience kind of push through. Guys like obviously Klevno and then Poitron were really good. Actually, I haven't really looked at this French stats. Let's look at this. Klevno had 24. Théophore was fantastic on the right side. He had 20. And Antoine Poitron on the left side has 15. Klevno was 22 for 40. He only got blocked once, and he had a 53% efficiency with 2 blocks, and no aces, but he did have 20 serves. France is just a really, really good serving team. And they did a good job on us today. There's no doubt about it. Sorry, excuse me. And there was just a few moments that you could tell that we were young, and there was a few moments that you could tell that I think the entire team altogether mishandled the energy and the emotions of the fourth and the fifth. Even towards the end of the fourth, they were starting to come back and get back into it, and there was a few tentative moments there. I mean, same thing in the third too. That was a back and forth. I thought one point it looked like they're going to three-dong us. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of learning opportunities from there, but to me, like, there's only so many times that can be a learning opportunity before it starts to need to mean, like, we need to get the job done in the fifth set. And if we're going to see another fifth set tomorrow against Bulgaria, we better fucking win it. Like, that's the attitude that I want those guys to have, and I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah, Chicago's max was World League 2015, and it was 10K. No, I don't think it is any either. It's just more Americans trying to tell me how exceptional that they are while being very mediocre. 9x9 is going to be a lot of fun on Tuesday. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, learning opportunities for sure, but those learning opportunities need to turn into lessons learned. And I know it's still early, but I would have liked to see a progression in how we showed up in the fifth set compared to Argentina. Do you happen to find out when Neves was replaced by Canham? Yeah, it sounds like Neves had, I don't know how extensive of an injury. I don't know if I'd call it an injury necessarily, especially because I had talked to him the night before. But essentially, the decision was made to allow Neves to rest up and heal up, and to bring someone like Cannon who could help out. Especially with just being down the road, it makes sense to get him into the gym and with the guys as much as possible, just to get into that rotation. Because as we know, Sclater's only going to be lasting through the first 2 weeks, and then we're going to need a backup opposite, or not even a backup, but definitely a second opposite. As I said, I think Sclater started the match, but Xander came in and did outstanding in his 3 sets of play. He was last thing to talk here about Xander, and then we'll move on to the next match, and then I'm going to GTFO. Xander 13 for 19, 47% efficiency with a block and an ace, and that ace was instrumental to getting Canada back, because we were -1 on the advantage in the back and forth in the third set. So he's the one who was able to get that ace and push us forward, which was huge. So I'm really happy with how Xander has been playing, and even though we're 1-2, we got 4 points. Overall, I'm very happy with how Canada's playing. I'm very happy to see that the growth of these guys. You hear my interview with Landon Curry, and he talks about how a lot of these guys have been together since junior, and have played together since junior, and that program has been together and been under the tutelage of Dan Lewis since 2022. So this is just a continuation, a progression of what we've seen over the course of the years, and it's really awesome to just see all the hard work that the program has put in, paying off. Maybe not quite yet on the scoreboard, but it's very close. Very, very close. I could sit here and freak out about the one throw call that they missed in the fifth set that, maybe would have changed some things, but ultimately we just got beat in the fifth set, and that's what it was. All right. Moving on to match number, might be Canada's best VNL week 1 so far. Yeah, I will have to see. Like, week 1 last year was pretty good. I mean, remember, we did make the finals, but we'll also have to see how tomorrow goes, right? If we lose to Bulgaria tomorrow, then my feeling is going to change a lot. We need to beat Bulgaria tomorrow. They just won a tough 5-setter. We'll talk about that in a second. That's been a long week for them. They're a young team. We need to beat them. We absolutely need to beat Bulgaria, and how we play against Bulgaria is going to dictate, for me, whether or not this week is a success or a loss. Not a loss, but a success or not. I don't think it can be a loss. This isn't a loss week for us at all. I think there's a lot of good things happening, but we need to win tomorrow. Absolutely. And I'm not giving you one of those it's the first year of a quad, there's no expectations. No, winning is a habit. Winning is a learned skill. It starts happening now. Okay, match number 2, Bulgaria versus Germany. And talk about contrasting styles, right? Talk about 2 teams who play this sport very, very differently. On one side, you have the high-flying, high-powered Bulgarian offense, of course, led by Alex Nikolov. 28 points tonight with a 51% efficiency. He was 24 for 41 with 3 blocks and an ace. He was outstanding. And then also Venislav Antov, who has slowly picked up his game. Slowly but surely. He was pretty good tonight. He had a VNL high 17 points. He was 17 for 32 with a 47% efficiency. However, he did had nine service errors. 9. That was a lot. And if you just look at this, how this Bulgarian team played, 31 errors to only 3 aces. Whew. Honestly, it's probably the only reason that Germany was able to stay in this game. The official attendance for this game, by the way, 11,800. So it's just a little bit down from the 12,500 that they reported for the Canada game. So people stayed. On the Germany side of things, they are now 0-3 and have lost 3 straight 5-setters. It sucks because I feel like Germany doesn't have the right composition, but they've also struggled in past VNLs. They've also struggled quite a bit. They are missing a lot of guys, but I don't know if that's enough of an excuse for them. Offensively, 29% efficiency, not fantastic. Roars and Philipp Jon are once again their leaders. Roars had 18. He was 15 for 33 with a 24% efficiency. Passing not that great, 44% perfect, 44% positive, which is nice, but only 6% perfect. Germany only passed 14% perfect on this game, and it's one of those things that's actually slightly worries me about Bulgaria tomorrow, is that their quality of their serving is really, really good. But this German team right now, I feel like they're just brewing a little bit. There's a lot of good things happening. I really like Simon Torvey. Him and Lucas Massa in the middle are really, really good. And especially once you add Anton Bremer to that, that's a scary trio. Eric Roars has been all right. I'd like to see him take over some games a little bit more. And Philipp Jon is someone who I'm still a little unsure on. He was 15 for 33 tonight with a 33% efficiency. He just hits the ball interestingly. As I said, it's a bit of more of a Korean swing. He's up really high, comes through, and it's more about speed. But just at the height at which he hits the ball and the speed at which he comes through the ball really allows him to use the block quite a bit. He also added two aces. So, yeah, this German team, I think, is just a little brewing. Winiarski is working on a few things. I did do an interview with Jan Zimmerman, and I feel like they're going to be fine down the line, as Germany usually is, but this VNL group just isn't really doing it for them. They just don't have any magic. That's the only way that I can say it. Hopefully they can do a little bit better. But talking about magic, man, this Bulgarian team is really growing together, and you can start to see them play more as a team. And luckily, I got to talk to their captain, Ilya Petkov, after the match. Moni and Simeon were shut down after doing too many interviews, so I didn't get to talk to them today. Moni and Alex. I apologize, Alex. But yeah, just the way that this team is playing all around each other has been really, really good to see, and there's a good energy. There's a really good energy around this Bulgarian team. They got a few different guys in. We saw Georgi Tatarov come in towards the end of the fourth, start the fifth. Same thing, not the same thing, but Krasimir Georgiev in the middle also came in for the younger Petkov, Preslav. So we're starting to see a few different guys get into this Bulgarian offense. Venislav, Anton, as I said before, was pretty good with 17, and Alex Nikolov with 28. But there was a few fun little moments, of course, at any time. Like this Bulgarian team is just a lot of fun. I think it was in the second set, and there was a whistle, and Bulgaria clearly wasn't ready. So I think it was Zimmerman just hit a quick standing float serve to try to catch them off guard. And ultimately, Bulgaria ended up converting it. And then a few points later, the exact same thing happened, but the opposite. And Moni hit a quick little float serve, and that one actually ended up as a point for Bulgaria. So that was a lot of fun. There was also Moni's one point in attacking was just kind of like tossed over. I wanted to ask him about it because there was just like one little gap that he went and tossed it over on 3 and saw it open, just volleyed it over. It was awesome. But Elements design, yes, you're right. Actually 14 blocks in favor of Bulgaria. Their blocking was very big tonight and very good. And I do think that was also quite a bit of how strong they were serving. As I said, it was really hard for Germany to be in system and to open up with their middles. And especially with like guys like Massa and Torvi, that's where they're going to have a lot of success. But the strength of the Bulgarian serving was really just keeping Zimmerman off the net, and they had to go more to an outside ball game. And Bulgaria was really clamping on them. 14 blocks, 12 touches. And yeah, when Bulgaria was up, it seemed Moni was playing a lot more aggressive. Yeah, that's very fair. Now that you say that, I do kind of agree with that. You know what? Here's the thing: is that in watching him play, there's definitely some pieces of his game that need a little bit of work. But when I see him make missteps, it's not due to hesitation, and it's not due to lack of skill. It's not due to lack of physicality. It's honestly trying to do too much sometimes. It's honestly trying to, maybe be a little bit too smart, and that's going to fade away with age. But I really like to see just how open he plays the game, and his connection with Alex is unbelievable. I mean, there was one ball that came over free ball right to him, and he just dished it right to the pipe. Alex hit it on 2, and it was it was incredible. So yeah, it's the Bulgaria is going to have to play a very, Bulgarians are aggressive by nature. That's how they are, and that's how they should be playing. So I love seeing a little bit of that Bulgarian edge back into it. What do you think of them being more intentional about using Moni as an out assistant option in the front row? It took a few swings in the match. Absolutely. Why not? I mean, they're in the exhibition matches. They were subbing in another setter for the other right side and letting him swing away. Dude, he's a generational talent. We know he has the arm because he can serve. It's not like he's a small guy. Like, he towers over me, and you guys are talking about in the comments, and I'm not exactly small. And yeah, for sure, use him. I want to see him get a big kill. It's awesome. I like Varga. Seems good, like a good dude. He should not have been playing against Santos. That's Johnny. I saw that comment. Before you retracted it. I'm gonna clown you for it because I disagree. He scored 12 points today, and he was really fucking good. Do I like that teams don't need to challenge mid-rally anymore, considering the last point for Bulgaria versus Germany? Okay, we'll touch this on. Johnny, well, I'm going to say this once. Varga had errors early on and then not so much, right? Early on, he scored errors, but then towards the end, 12 for 33 is not that bad. So, he's still got another year of Long Beach. Let's give him a little bit of space. Let's give him a little space, and it's he made key mistakes for sure, but he's in there to learn. It's the first year of a quad. If I'm going to, echo what Rob has been saying incessantly to protect his little ego. I will check the tapes. It doesn't really matter. He's out there to learn. That's what this entire team is out there to do. And we've already talked about how we thought we played poorly in the fifth. Here's what I think about the challenge system. I like the fact that it doesn't need to be mid-rally. Just let it finish, right? And if it's something close, and I was talking to one of the referees, and that if it's something really close, you can just let it go and let the rally play, and then you can figure it out afterwards with that. What I don't like is how long you're allowed to call a challenge for. Because there was times, the last point today was one that was interesting, because essentially Germany was coming back, and they had already, at one point we had already thought it was a Bulgaria win. Germany got the challenge, it reversed it. Then they got another block, and it was down to 14-13. So they're making this big comeback. They got another swing again to to kind of finish it. It was called out. They called it back on the replay. And while they were showing the replay, they showed from the serve. And it was clear from the replay that Simon Torvi, I'm pretty sure it was, for Germany, had stepped on the line. And so in Bulgaria, seeing that, as soon as the touch was called, they went back and challenged the foot fault. And I didn't like that. I didn't like how they could go back and challenge another part of the rally. If you want to challenge to me, if you want to challenge like that point is all right. But like, I didn't like how they were able to go back because they had seen the replay on the screen on the jumbotron and gone back to do that. I didn't really like that. Any else here? Do you like how willing Germany said it was to give the ball back to one guy 3 or 4 times, even though if he was to score him, bit them a few times? I mean, I'm not really going to comment on Germany's play. I don't know their system enough. And as I've said before, I have a hard time analyzing other teams when Canada is playing. Like, I'm just very focused on our side. Or wait, Germany was the other team. It wasn't us. Yeah, I think it's tough, especially in that German offense and how it's running right now. But yeah, any other questions? While we talk about this one? It's interesting. You know, I talked to Ilya Petkov after the match. He said this is the first time, you know, me being in VNL after the past few years that we've had a positive record. So it's very interesting right now in the VNL. Like it's been exciting. You can't say it has not been exciting. I actually know there's a game going on right now, if I'm correct. Japan, Netherlands should be starting about now, I think. What else we got tomorrow? China, Turkey. That one should be a fun one. At this point, I'm expecting China to stomp Turkey because they look like they stuck. Poland, Serbia, Brazil, Slovenia, Argentina, Italy here tomorrow morning. Ukraine, Iran, France, Germany, Cuba, USA. Oh, Cuba, USA is going to be fun. And then Bulgaria, Canada. What are you taking your Canada over USA or 3, 4, or 5? That's going to be a tough one because obviously the USA is going to have home court advantage, and then they're also going to have Shoji and Ma'a and Ensing. That being said, I'm taking Canada in 4. Oh, foot fault was worse. Thank you, Quantum. Apologize for that. Yeah, we definitely have the best venue. Yeah, like Quebec City is definitely where the most of the action is happening. Do you give a fuck that Sclater is being developed despite his age? He's still a bit young, but not exactly a youngster. I mean, Sclater isn't being developed. That's not the goal of Sclater being here. Sclater being here is to bring a veteran presence. Right? Sclater being here is to bring someone who knows how to deal with VNL and knows how to deal with that, but also, Sclater being here is to keep him in the program and to keep him around. Dan, you know, if you go back to my French interview with Dan on the first night, he talks a lot about how important it is for the fathers in the program to have times to be fathers. And, you know, it just worked out that with the North American schedule that is going to be super easy for Sclater to come back in. And, you know, we all know how he left with Samuel Vuo. It's no longer time to comment on that, and we're glad to have Sclater back. So it's not about developing Sclater. I think if anyone thinks that we're developing him, you're dumb. No offense. But it's more about, having someone to develop the other guys, and that's exactly what he's been. You know, even when he got subbed off today, I'm constantly seeing him sharing information and talking to guys and pointing things out. But also just for a steadying factor. And like, who knows? We may need him down the line. So getting him in the gym with these guys and training is a good thing. You know, Schwartz is going to come back. Lepke's going to come back. Maybe Mars is going to come back. But Sclater hasn't been around. So it's a good time to have him in. And, you know, he won't be around after that. So we'll go on with Xander and Canham. And I think that's a really good pairing too, especially with the way Xander's been playing. How do you see the battle between... How do you see the setting battle between her and Elgert? Man, Um, I it's interesting. It really is. I didn't think we had a setting battle, and I think today definitely cemented it. There's what makes me pretty excited is that they both run the offense a little differently, and they both bring different things to the game. I already know Luke is good. There's no doubt about that. Like we know what he was able to do with this team over the past 3 years or past 2 years and how he was able to come in, but I've been supremely impressed by Max. I've been supremely impressed by the way that Max has run this offense and the poise and maturity in which he's done it. So I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a setting battle. Like if I don't know if it's definitely not going to be a clear 1-2 like we've had the past few years, but I like it. I think Elgert is bringing a lot to this offense, and I think Luke has a lot to bring this offense, and they're just going to push each other. So that is awesome. A lot of challenges, times outs. Yeah, I fully agree. There's just a flow to the game that we haven't figured out yet. Alejandro, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to interview any of the Argentinian players after the Canada game. I was trying to get Polonsky, but it just didn't work out. As I was interviewing some of the Canada guys, they were coming by, and unfortunately, there wasn't enough staff around there to hold them for me, and I can only make so many requests for players, and I had focused on the Canadian players first and foremost. I had tried to get Lulo, but it just wasn't the case. I will definitely be getting Argentinians tomorrow, probably Polonsky, probably Vincentin as well if he sees a little bit more. Tev, I'm not asking them that. I don't know if you've noticed, but their setter is 105. How should have Canada handled that Chunger sub in retrospect? Should they have targeted him how? Like in offense? I don't know. He like that guy like Chaboissin he is smooth. He's got some nice hands on him, and he just dishes that butter. There may be a setter controversy brewing in the next few years in France because, man, he is really, really good. Like, I really like him. He's really smooth. If he was getting some starts and getting some more playing time, I'd love to chat with him. But I'm not gonna interview like just a serving sub like that. I'm sorry. Where would you rank Moni compared to the top setters in the world at this moment in time? I don't rank him in the top 10, but I would rank him in the top 20. He has a magic about him. He really does. He like I said, he's making some young, dumb mistakes that you kind of expect from an 18-year-old, but everything I see in terms of talent identification is there. He does stuff that I've never really seen people do before, and he plays the game at a different level. He really does. Even more so than Alex. And Alex is supremely impressive. But Moni is different. You know, even comparing him to a guy like Tizi Walu. But already, right now, the only other setter I can compare him to is Gianelli. And now the gaps between Gianelli's setting and Moni's setting is quite a bit. It was very apparent when they played each other, and every time they're on the court, like Gianelli is there. But 10 years ago, Gianelli wasn't this good. I'll fully say that Gianelli was not this good, and Moni is incredible. His hands are insane. The way everyone is watching him all the time, and he's an all-around player. Defenses we'll see, but blocking, serving, attacking, setting. He's the real deal. He really is. And I got to see Micah at 16 years old setting for the junior team. He was special, but this is different. Yeah, he's really cool. He's really good. Who do you prefer, Amir versus the other guy? I think Amir Tiziwalu versus Chaboissin I think they just complement each other really well. I mean, Tiziwalu is definitely a leader. Like, you can tell that he's a starter type of guy. But Chaboissin, he is smooth. And I have no doubt that once he starts getting a little bit more playtime, he's going to be winning some games for that team. No doubt about it. Like, he's an all-around volleyball player, too. You see him hit the ball from the baseline. He's got a pretty good serve on him. So, yeah, there's some good things to see. Ba, ba, ba. Are you happy with the state of Canada's liberos? Yeah, I really am. And I did do an interview with Landon Curry tonight. You can check that out. He wasn't too happy with his game, and we did see a little bit of Justin Louis as well tonight in moments. But I've been really, really happy with Curry, especially in serve receive. Defense, there's been a few balls that I've wanted him to pick up a little bit, a few out of system situations that are, a little bit off. I know that Dan has ripped into him a couple of times, but I think that's also just part of their relationship, especially with how long that they've known each other, and Dan being a former libero, so he's extra picky on how that position is played. But I think Curry has been fantastic for us. I think he's been tenacious. I think on serve receive he's been really, really good, super solid, and I think he's really helped lead that back row. And I have also full confidence in Justin Louis too. And I know that he, had some surgery, somewhat volleyball related, but non like athletic volleyball related stuff. And I am extremely happy with our depth right now. I'm extremely happy with Canada's depth right now. There is not one guy that we've seen play that I've thought who is out of his depth. Not one. And I absolutely love that. It's awesome. HWVBO8, Landon Curry Landon Curry's from Vernon, BC, originally played at Thompson Rivers, then transferred over to Alberta. Actually, it's been the two of them for the past few years, back and forth. But and Landon Curry, we talk about it. He's got a really good contract for next year. He's got a really good contract for next year. I'm really excited for him. So I'm super happy for that. Do you want Vargas setting or on the right at all? Knipe uses him like a Swiss Army knife at Long Beach, and he certainly is fine. That's a pure left side. No, I don't want Varga doing either of those things. With all due respect to Varga, I know he was a disher back in club. That's what happens when you live out in Saskatchewan. Also, big shout out to Varga for being a Sask boy on the national team. I come from my dad's side of the family is all in Saskatchewan. My dad was born in Tisdale, Saskatchewan. I still got family up there in Sylvania and Tisdale and Assiniboine. So I'm Sask at heart for sure, and love to see another Sask boy on the roster. But no, he's just a pure left side. Knipe can use him as a Swiss Army knife because he's that skilled at Long Beach. But this is the VNL. This is the VNL, and he is a very, very good outside hitter. I thought he passed very well tonight. Not great, but very well. And yeah, no, there's no way he should be anywhere but on the left side. Canada's middle seem really athletic, dynamic too. They do. I'm like, bro, the options that we have just now with McCarthy and Kofi and Schnitzer, not to mention Demyanenko, who's taking a break, Jackson Howe, who's waiting and still rehabbing. Bro, I don't know if we've ever had this much depth. Lepke and Schwartz and Marr are still out there too. Oh, it's giving me some good tingles. There's some good things happening right now, and it's not just now. It's been happening for the past few years. For sure. All right. Do we have any other questions? I've just been sitting here asking questions for the past while now. I don't even know if we've been talking much. Do you think we will get to see Heslinga on the VNL? I really do. I really do. There's not much in my head that separates Heslinga and Varga. Varga's a little bit more physical, but I think Heslinga might have more shots. He's definitely got a better vertical. Yeah, they just play the game differently. As I said before, I was slightly surprised to see Varga over Heslinga today. When Jackson was struggling, I thought it was going to be Heslinga's time, and he went to Varga. Ultimately, it worked out. Well, I guess you can't really say that we didn't win, but I thought the result was good, and the time out there for Varga was good. But I definitely think we're going to see Heslinga. No doubt about it in my mind. It would be a travesty, in my opinion, if we don't see Heslinga. But also shout out to Heslinga. Just saw that he signed with Tool, so that's awesome. Well, I hope he gets in tomorrow so that we can chat. So we can get to chat with him. How are Canadian assistant coaches? Dan seems to be setting a great tone. Our assistant coaches are João Bravo. So Bravo is Brazilian who's been in around the Canadian program for years and years and years now. Works with Glenn at Arcus. You know, he's Brazilian, but he might as well be Canadian. And then the other one is a Canadian great and British Olympian, Jason Haldane. Haldane was the the captain of our program in the 80s and 90s, and then went on and played eventually for, maybe not 80s, no. He was the captain for our program in the 90s, eventually went on and played for Great Britain at the 2012 Olympics, and since then has been coaching overseas, so it's great to have a Canadian legend back in the gym. I think Dan set the tone a long time ago, though. This is what I've been saying, and in years past when I've talked about the Pan Am Cup and I've talked about the B team, I've got a lot of flack from some of those people being, oh, Pan Am Cup doesn't matter. Well, guess what? Like, it kind of looks like it matters now because we've been working on things for the past few years, and now we're seeing this success with this squad. And I haven't really watched much of that American team play yet, but given from the comments in the Discord, it sounds like it's not that great at the moment. So next week you're on break, then Chicago the week after that. Yeah, next week I will be home for a few days. Got to drive home like 8 hours on Monday, which is going to be great. And then rest up for a few days, watch as much women's as I can on Wednesday. And Thursday I'm going up to a cottage. I'll be off the grid at a bachelor party for the weekend. And then Monday I fly to Chicago to go meet up with Rob. What is the biggest skill and focus you want Canada to be working on in terms of specific? I mean, like passing. Passing is Canada in general. Women, men, beach, sitting. It doesn't matter. We are very, very poor at passing. So, and that's where we broke down. Like, that's where we broke down today. Our serve receive fell through and the rest of it crumbled. Other than that, I think a lot of the parts of our game are pretty good right now. Obviously, everything can get better, no doubt about it, but passing is going to be that number one. A lot of people here talking about Dan. And yeah, you know what? Like, Dan right now is the perfect person for this program. He really is. And, he's put so much time and effort into all of this, second to only Hogue, in my opinion. And he's learned a lot from Hogue. I really want to talk to him about it some more, but if you go back to my sit down with him, and he talks about Hogue giving him that chance and to come in and to be part of the program again. And since then, it's just been a really nice redemption story for Dan Lewis. I've heard some stories about Dan Lewis in the early days. Sure, they're entertaining, but, the way that he's approached all of this is been tenacious. And, he's been looking for this opportunity for a while. And I know, and like one of my biggest trepidations with him as the head coach is that we had never really seen him as a head coach. And I know that he had been applying for so many of the elite jobs in the youth sports, and no one was giving him, everyone would have him on their short list, and then he wasn't getting a job. And then finally, he's able to get in there and coach in the French league. And yeah, I think Dan Lewis wears his heart on his sleeve, and that's exactly what this team needs to do. And right now he's the perfect guy, and he has buy-in from everyone in the program, up and down. Even on the next gen, you're talking to the other coaches there. Dan is the perfect guy to be leading this program right now, no doubt about it. And I'm glad that you guys are seeing it on the outside too. What needs to happen for Rob at St. Clair to lose hope regarding his current USA team prospects? Like, how many losses against who in particular? His optimism is cringy. Hey, you know what? I can't really speak to Rob in that USA team because I've been here. But I will be making some comments about the overblowing on it. It's gonna be a really fun 9x9 because I'm gonna be, especially like tomorrow is really gonna dictate all of that. Tomorrow's gonna we'll see what happens tomorrow, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, Ozzy, the week in Chicago is gonna be a lot. I've actually been not drinking at all just to get ready for that one. So stylistically, who do you think Canada's best and worst matchup going forward, regardless that's a lot of questions. I'm not getting into that one tonight. I'm sorry. I can't, I'm not going into the stylistic. I mean, we always match up bad against skill teams. Italy is a bad matchup for us. France is a bad matchup for us. Argentina is a bad matchup for us. Japan is a bad matchup for us. Although without some of the guys, we'll have to see. But yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting with this American team, especially because you know what they've got, but I don't know, dude. I just don't like when I look at prospects. I want to see them be prospects, not be 25 years old and mediocre like Gabby Garcia. Dan's energy is awesome. Love hearing him swear at the boys during the timeouts. Yeah, I think that there was some times in the fifth that there was maybe too much, maybe a little bit. He's learning as well and learning all that, and once again, that's just my own perception of it, but I'll take that any day. I'll absolutely take that any day, and I know the guys will too. So, whenever I talk to them, they're all just really happy to be working for Dan. And once again, like you guys see it, like the comments are talking about it. I don't even need to talk about them. You guys are. Finn is a top 10 middle, 100%. Neves is injured. Dave Ta, what's up? How's it going? And Canham is in. Yep. Okay. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's probably going to be it for this one. Really appreciate you all tuning in. Tomorrow, you know what? Here's the thing. I don't think I'm going to do a live tomorrow just because I'm getting to be exhausted. Tomorrow's going to be a 3-match day. Actually, I don't know. We'll see. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I don't know why you do. This is very just mediocre content about me talking about whatever the fuck I want to. So, yeah, appreciate you all being here. Appreciate you all watching. Let's see if there's any last questions. Ooh, I'll have to go back and hear that. I didn't hear that message about daring to be great. Once again, I'm here, so I don't hear the timeouts. Do you know if the U.S. has any potential to be the next Del Falco? I'm a Canadian, so I don't know anything about the Americans, but I know that the NCAA is just filled with a lot of foreigners who make the NCAA look good. And I'm just going to say it like that. Happy to answer all the questions. Love the questions, but my brain is just is fading here. It's past midnight, and Kofi or Merrick? It's Kofi all day. That's not even a question. We're ending it with that. Bye. I love you all. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. Adios.